Hi, everyone. My name is Evan Douglis. I'm the Dean of the School of Architecture at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. And I want to welcome the alumni back to homecoming. It's an extraordinary institution, and it's constantly changing and evolving in relation to the challenges of the 21st century. And I imagine you're interested in hearing about your alma mater, and there's a lot of stories that I'd like to share with you in the School of Architecture, which I think are extremely exciting and should assure you that we're moving forward in a profoundly interesting way and educating in our school the next generation of architects to go out into the world and do great things. Well, you're probably curious as to what has the School of Architecture been up to in the last 12 months. And certainly these have been challenging times. And I should preface by saying that the highest accolades go out to the leadership, and I'm talking about the president, the cabinet, the board, for identifying the most productive, efficient, and safe way to move the schools and the institute forward in light of the pandemic. And you might think that because we've had to transition into a kind of hybrid situation where there's now in-person and remote learning, that might be a compromise. Well, I would argue that, quite honestly, we've been able to learn a lot about online technology, about virtual course delivery in ways that I think will empower the School of Architecture and certainly Rensselaer in the future. If there had been faculty in the past that were maybe a little apprehensive and unfamiliar with how to teach online, that's certainly not the case anymore. And in the School of Architecture, we've had to identify some rather innovative strategies in terms of that course delivery. For example, we have the Green Gallery. For those of you who have used to go to RPI and see the architects up well into the night, it's our main public space. It's a space where we present student work on a continuous basis. It's an exhibition room. It's the big family gathering. We've been able to create, using software technology, a digital twin, essentially a virtual avatar of the Green Gallery, so that we can conduct classes as well as offer and present exhibitions of the student work online 24/7. And it's been extraordinarily popular. It was launched when we had the commencement event in the spring of 2020. And now we're moving forward into reassessing a digital twin for the entire building. And for that matter, it's something that the president and the board of trustees are interested in. How do you make a digital twin of Rensselaer? How would you be able to pursue research and pedagogy simultaneously using a physical, occupiable territory of space, and at the same time a virtual equivalent? It's a much larger discussion, but this would have never emerged as insight and opportunity, I suppose, if we weren't having to face the challenge of sustaining a kind of critical and inspiring curriculum delivery system. We've also had to figure out how to recreate a certain kind of, the sensation of being in a room with a lot of people, both students and faculty, and seeing a tremendous amount of diversity of work in real time simultaneously. Simply put, looking around, seeing models and drawings. Well, in the School of Architecture, again, with respect to remote learning, we were able to use what we call Whiteboard, a Moreau software package, and you're essentially creating a series of boards for representing each of the students, and you can zoom in and out at details. You can pull back like an aerial perspective and look at the totality of the student production. You can draw on the images. It's actually been enormously opportunistic, extremely effective in terms of being able to deliver in a short period of time recommendations on how to improve the student work. And I might say, in light of those two, I would say discoveries, and I can't speak for the entire institute, but I have a sense they would agree with this. It probably will be some form of hybridized pedagogy. That is to say that, okay, how do you strengthen the educational and research platforms within your school using a range of technology, online technology as well as in person. So those are two examples of innovative pedagogy in the School of Architecture, which we're very excited about. So if I had to kind of highlight what I think distinguishes the School of Architecture from other schools of architecture around the nation, or for that matter, around the world, there would be a series of priority themes. Certainly one of them is about community, reaffirming the multicultural diversity of our students, faculty, and staff, celebrating that intellectual, gender, and ethnic diversity, which I think reflects the world that we live in, and doing everything we can to empower our students to be excited about teaching and learning, to take responsibility for their education, for their actions, and recognize that at some moment they will leave Rensselaer and go out into the world as mature and powerful global citizens, and that they have a responsibility to change the world, to make use of their time throughout their life as part of a kind of ethical project. So in light of that kind of larger moral imperative, if I were to become more specific, environmental stewardship, that is to say that the planet's at risk, global warming, the depletion of energy resources, what would our buildings look like and should look like and behave in the 21st century? And I'm not talking about them as an aesthetic proposition. I'm talking about them in terms of being able, as kind of agents for change, able to transform and to participate within the natural world in a very productive and efficient way. And that means that the buildings and infrastructure of the 21st century should be more like plants and animals, and respond to the sun and to the wind and to the water in real time, and harness energy out there and become like fantastic perpetual machines. We have to get off the grid. Now that sounds like a science fiction film, but it's not. And there are a number of research initiatives, both in the School of Architecture and at the institute level, that are in fact taking on the ambition of that idea, certainly in the context of the new metropolis for the 21st century. And we have a research center called CASE, the Center for Architecture, Science, and Ecology. It's world renowned. And all my professional programs, undergraduate students, graduate students, at some moment have the opportunity to take classes there, to get a double degree, to spend time and participate in that collaborative arena. And they're looking, if I had to use the term, the kind of next generation sentient buildings, that in the spirit of what I spoke about before, that buildings would in fact change both on the inside and the outside in real time. And this can happen at the scale of an appliance, something that you can hold with your hand. It could also manifest within the entire building systems and building components that make up the totality of a building. And there's a lot of research going on inside CASE that, again, collaborative with faculty around the Institute and experts around the world to think of, for example, smart manufacturing. and I spoke earlier about digital twin, if you're going to build full-scale prototypes of a building, which is a huge investment time-wise and economically, then could you create an avatar, a digital twin of that area of the building, and perform almost a forensic analysis on how it behaves, so that you are assured that if you do invest that capital, it's a worthwhile investment. This is just one of a whole constellation of research that's emerging out of case that I think represents a kind of paradigm shift in architectural education. And I'm thrilled that we have 3 graduate research programs in the School of Architecture, the Lighting Research Center, Architectural Acoustics, and CASE, the Center for Architecture in the Built Environment. So it's in a very exciting time and to be an architect, and certainly now more than ever when you realize that the environment, and I spoke about global warming, I spoke about energy systems. Now we're talking about the well-being and the health and safety of all of the infrastructure in the built environment, and to what extent could those systems that I'm talking about being able to acquire a certain level of intelligence to assess the safety for the human species to move in and out of public spaces, right? I mean, there's going to be a regime change that will cascade into a whole series of building sectors that I think will certainly benefit all of us and keep us safe as a kind of global family. So let me share with you some interesting achievements, again, which I think are notable and distinguish the School of Architecture, not only at Rensselaer, but around the world. In no particular order, we have an amazing study abroad program. Most schools of architecture will send their students abroad to Italy, and it happens to be the cradle of Western civilization, and we do that, and we're very proud of that. It's a legacy program. But we do a lot more than that. We probably have the single most robust study abroad program in the United States for any school of architecture. We send our students to India, to Italy, to China, to Argentina, to Chile, and now Japan. And 75% of the students in the School of Architecture within the professional programs, which are the majority of our students, have decided on their own that a cultural immersion experience is a priority for them during their time at Rensselaer. And it's absolutely transformative. They spend a full semester abroad collaborating with students at a host school. They get to see contemporary and historical buildings. They travel. It's a 3.5 month experience, and they come back entirely changed. And in the context of the Rensselaer Plan 2024, where the president and everyone is committed to educating our students and exposing them and providing them with the kind of a cultural insight and sensitivity to see the entire world, I think the School of Architecture is living proof that it can be done. And the testimony to that is when they leave the school, they get their degree and they go out into the world, they're fearless, they're brave, they're willing to take risks, they're able to have an elastic mind, to think critically. And once again, they recognize there's a responsibility that comes with a fine education. The rankings in the professional programs, the Bachelor's of Architecture program, we've been as high as 13th in the nation. If you asked me as the dean, I think we're probably in the top 5. It's a bit of a popularity contest, and the bigger schools that have a greater population of alum, their vote has a greater sway and impact on the vote. But quite honestly, before I got here 10 years ago, we weren't even ranked, and we shot up within the first 3 years. And it's not the number, it's the fact that everyone is aware that our school is exceptional, and we're preparing leaders, and there's an enormous amount of respect around the world for both Rensselaer and for the School of Architecture. I'm also proud of the fact that 65% of the students in the School of Architecture are female. As we all know, in a STEM institution, it's notoriously male. Obviously, the legacy school at Rensselaer is engineering and then science, and there's a lot of young men. Well, there's a lot of fantastic women in the School of Architecture. I'm very proud of it, and it certainly contributes to the success of the community. And I expect that both our male and female graduates will go out into the world and be successful as best they can. And maybe another item that I'd like to highlight, which I'm very proud of. In every school, there's foundation research. You can be highly and should be highly speculative and think about what the world would look like within your respective discipline in the 21st and 22nd century. And we're really, really, really good at that. But we also see ourselves in being able to move theory to practice. And applying big ideas into action is what architects should do. And certainly the School of Architecture takes that very seriously. We've engaged the city of Troy, and we have a design build program where we're working with Habitat for Humanity, TAP, and Land Bank. And these are organizations that are committed to providing beautifully designed, energy efficient, and cost-effective housing for marginalized communities in downtown Troy. It's a noble endeavor, and we're in the middle of that project. And our students, led by faculty, are actually coming up with schemes. And some of them rise to the top and become quite feasible, and they move from a schematic design to design development. And so we would expect within the next year or two at the most that some of the student design projects will actually be realized. And we, as a School of Architecture, would have fulfilled a commitment to the community because it's really about giving something back and empowering others. You want to use education as a tool, as a benevolent tool. Well, in conclusion, I'd like to welcome everyone back. Things are changing in real time. Everyone's getting vaccinated. We're going to be protected. We're going to be back in person. And at some point in the near future, all the alum will be on campus once again as a kind of happy family. I hope one of the takeaways here, the most important, is that you know that the School of Architecture is moving forward in the most kind of spectacular way. We're committed to educating these students. We take it very, very seriously. Your involvement, both at the scale of the entire institute and more specifically in the School of Architecture, means a lot to us. So for all those that are architects who graduated from Rensselaer, I urge you to connect to me as the dean, reach out. Maybe there's an opportunity to collaborate. You can visit the school, you can mentor the students. You might even be able to identify a certain initiative that you're passionate about and that you would like to sponsor. You would like to see it realized, and your financial support would be greatly welcome. And even to the non-architects, it's one happy family here. And although we're the smallest school at Rensselaer, as the president says, we fight above our weight class. So have a wonderful time today and look forward to seeing you in person. Thank you.